Hey everyone, I have a different type of video here that I want to do. Every month I get a retro gamer, and it's my favorite day of the month when I get it. And one of the things that, and if you're into watching my videos and you're into retro gaming in general, one of the big problems you have is you got a million games to play, and you don't know which one to play. So that, for me, is solved by looking through Retro Gamer, and whenever anything of interest pops up, I play that game. Like, oh, I haven't played that game in a long time, or I've never played that game at all. And I tend to do that. I mean, I'm doing it a lot more precisely for this video, but generally speaking, I get my Retro Gamer, I read through it, and I note some games that I want to play because of that magazine. And I let that kind of guide me. So I thought it'd be fun to look through the magazine page by page, and I'll just say anything I know about the games in it, and then I'll play the games that are in it. And I'll show some footage and talk about those games too. So, I'm not going to actually read it, but Retro Gaming is a UK-based magazine with about old consoles. There is a lot of stuff in here about ZX Spectrum and Amiga and Commodore, and those are all systems that I've never played. Don't have any, never touched them, and I don't have any footage of them here either. So there's a lot of that in this magazine, if you find that not interesting. But I've never had any experience with those games, and I still find this magazine tremendously interesting. So let's look at what we got today. So here we have this new game coming out. It's a remake of Onimusha. Sorry. It's a game I actually have on Xbox. You can see I put little tags here of games that I have that I could play. I don't have any footage of this game, but I did play pretty deep into it, and it's sort of like Resident Evil, but crossed with Ninja Gaiden, sort of. It's got tank controls, but you're a samurai swordsman, and the fighting is really precise. It's almost like an early version of a Dark Souls game, sort of. Really about parrying and countering enemy attacks. Looks like they're remaking it. Capcom's remaking it. A lot of the remasters they've made have been really well received, and I would be interested in this one. So when it comes out, you tell me what you think about that game. I have heard of this Earthion game that's coming out, or is out now on Steam and all the modern consoles, and also there's a Sega cartridge you can buy, a physical Sega cartridge. It's a shoot 'em up, kind of like in the vein of Gradius, but the music is by Yuzo Koshiro from Streets of Rage. I should check out that soundtrack. I bet it's awesome. I haven't looked into it too much, but it's a shmup, and it's got Yuzo Koshiro music, so that's a win. You can see here some pictures from a game from the Commodore or some other system, I don't know. There's a little Prince of Persia plug here. The new Prince game, The Lost Crown, is something that I've always wanted to play but haven't had the chance to. I love almost every Prince of Persia game, starting from the DOS version, I love the Sands of Time. That was tremendous. I've beaten it so many times. I was going to get footage for this, but I ended up just never putting it in because I have beaten it so many times, and it's not even featured here. But this game's on Switch, and I do have a Switch with no Switch games. If I get one, this Prince of Persia might be the first Switch game I get. But this is all about the Evercade, and I don't have an Evercade, but it looks really cool. It seems unnecessary. I don't really get, if you have all the ROMs, do you need to have an Evercade? I mean, I guess it's a legal way to have the games, so that's pretty good. There's some ads in here. Game Boy Tetris. Game Boy Tetris is a game I never had any handhelds when I was a kid, so I have no nostalgia for them. And it's interesting to watch old, other online retro gamers talk about how much they love handhelds and how much they love Tetris on the Game Boy. Where I never got into it and never really cared about it. And now it's like if I want to play Tetris in 2025, I'm definitely not going to play it on Game Boy. There's so many better versions of it now that it seems silly to go back. And that's one of the things, like, without the nostalgia for the retro consoles, every game that's on them that has a better version somewhere else, it's like, why don't you just play it somewhere else, you know? I mean, I know that it's a good version of Tetris, and it's one of the ones that a lot of people got to know, but not me. You know, my first Tetris was on Nintendo. And even that, I do have some nostalgia for the Nintendo Tetris, because it's just the music and the sounds are cool, but still, if I really want to play Tetris, I'm not going to play it on Nintendo either. There's just it's not a good version of it, compared to what they have today, you know? This is really cool. There's a game called Kula World on PlayStation, which I've played a little bit before, just looking through PlayStation games. It's like you're a ball. It's like a. I'm not sure how to describe it, honestly. I think in the article they do describe it. I'm not going to read it now, but they do talk about what it is. It's a puzzle game, I suppose. It's like a puzzle game, sort of like one of the puzzles that would be in the Stanley Parable. You know, like. It's just like a 3D logic puzzle where the ball's jumping on different platforms, and you can see in some of the pictures, like the ball breaks all kinds of rules about gravity and can go on different sides of a. It's sort of like Fez. That's a good comparison because you can switch when your ball changes what plane it's on, gravity changes, so your ball is always like, you know, glued to the down. It's hard to explain. Anyway, it's a cool game, and this guy is making like a spiritual sequel called Axis. And I think this name is just awesome because it says Axis, which totally plays into it, but it's XYZ, which I've never like even thought about that, but that really does spell Axis in like a goofy way. Cool. So I'm gonna keep my eyes on this game. It's interesting. Had some fun with this. I really got into playing Gears of War with my friend. I invited him over to play just to catch footage for this because I wanted to get it in there because Gears of War was the reason I got a 360. It was such an amazing game and one of the first really truly co-op games that I remember. And what I mean by that is both the characters, like before this game was out, the co-op experience on Xbox was Halo. You play Halo co-op with everybody, but the problem with that is you got two Master Chiefs and the story doesn't accommodate for the fact that there's two and it makes no sense. In Gears of War, Dominic and Phoenix are specific characters in the game. Marcus and Dominic, and they're both in the story, and they both have their own character growth and development. So both people playing have a skin in the game. It's sort of almost like It Takes Two before It Takes Two, and even if you played single player, Dominic is an integral part of the story. So it's a really fun experience, and we ended up beating the whole game over the weekend. So that's how good it is. Of course, that's just Gears 1. Then 2 and 3 I've also played and beaten. Excellent games. So this segment is called Back in the Naughties, and they look back at like a month from the past and talk about what was hot back then. I always find it really weird because this is December 2008, and I think this is the July issue of Retro Gamer. And I'm not really sure what the pattern is. I don't really keep track, but it would make sense if it was July 2008 because that would be, 12 years ago, which is a number that's kind of weird. Wait, is that 12? Holy moly, that's more than 12. 18, 17 years ago? Whatever. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Like, what is 17 years ago? Why not go back 10 years or 15 years or like a 5, And then if you're going to go back in the same month, go back in the same month. Like, I don't even get why it's December of this year. Unless something remarkable happened that they want to talk about specifically. But I feel like every year something interesting would have happened in video games, right? Anyway, I need to look at some more of these magazines and like what is the sequence, of why they picked this year. But Gears of War in here, another little bit of Prince of Persia action here, which is great. Well, I didn't get any footage of Prince of Persia though. That's too bad. Star Glider on the Amstrad is a little call out here. I've never, I've never played any of these games. They look cool though. I should get into emulating them. I don't even, I get them confused. Like, how many essentially UK only consoles were there? It's pretty nuts. I do think the ZX Spectrum looks really cool. Like, its graphics look awesome, I think, and I want to get into it. So into the title, the cover article here is the big Doom expose, where they do interviews with all kinds of people, and they go through Doom, and they talk about everything Doom. You know, who hasn't played Doom? And I'll make a plug here. If you care about Doom even a little bit, you should watch the Tim Rogers review of Doom. It's just one of the greatest videos on YouTube. Like, it's such a treasure. You know, YouTube is really like fleeting. Like, the videos on YouTube are disposable. You know, like, you watch a video once and then you wait for the next one. Like, the idea that a video on YouTube is like a movie that you buy a DVD of and keep, it doesn't really exist. And it's hard to explain. Like, it's hard to say why. I mean, a lot of them are like serialized. Like, if this is a series, you know, why would you watch this one again when you can wait for the next one? I get that. But there are YouTube videos that are really a lot like movies, you know, and you could rewatch them over and over again if that's like something that's in your head. All of that to say, the Tim Rogers, all of his videos, but the Doom review I've seen like many times over and over again. It's so good. Check it out. It's like multiple hours long, and he goes into such depth about Doom, and it's really cool. Anyway, nowadays, playing Doom, I'm always playing it. I play Brutal Doom now, which, if you haven't touched that before, you should. It really revitalizes the game. It's so cool. But, you know, Doom on the classic Doom is still good, and is still remarkably feels modern today. Like, they release like boomer shooters are called. There's a whole genre of them where they're games like Doom released today, pixelated graphics, kind of the same sort of vibe, and Doom feels contemporary to them. Like, there's not much going on in Doom that you could improve on. It's pretty remarkable. Like, being able to aim up and down is like the one feature that it's obviously missing, and maybe like ambient lighting and, you know, whatever, those kind of cool effects. But really, being able to look up and down is the thing that it's missing, that keeps it from being obviously a modern shooter. But Brutal Doom fixes that, and a lot of the modern ports of Doom fix that too. You can play Doom in so many different ways. And then they go through all the different Doom games and all the different ports. And here's like Doom 64, which I played, and it's like, it's hard to play the console Dooms that are just way worse than the PC version, because mouse and keyboard controls are just so much better, and you're used to playing it that way, and you got to play these bad ports. And they're not all bad, but the N64 one actually isn't even a port. It's a very different game with different music and a different vibe. But it's so dark. It's like crazy. When I was playing it, I'm showing it on the screen right now, I turned the brightness all the way up to maximum, which essentially did nothing. And then I turned my screen brightness up way higher to even like feel the game comfortably. It was bad. And then I played the PlayStation version as well, and it is just Doom, like a port of Doom on PlayStation, and it does have cool lighting effects, but it's not very fun to play compared to Brutal Doom. So. Then we're looking at Doom 3, Doom, not Doom 3, Doom, no, it is Doom 3. It's Doom 3 on Xbox 360? Or is this on the original Xbox? Does it even... It says PC here, PC, Doom 3. Was that on the original Xbox? Man, I don't remember. But it's the game with the flashlight. And it was very, like, different. It was more realistic, and it had a very different vibe where you were really it was like a survival horror game. You're always running out of ammo. Monsters beat the hell out of you. They did so much damage when they hit you. You died really quick. But I really love that game. It was a really refreshing because it's, so many years went by since Doom came out, and then they released this new Doom, and it felt completely like grown up. It was a very different vibe, and I loved it. A lot of people complained about it and said it changed Doom too much. It didn't remember what Doom was, and it's true. It was very different, but I thought it was a worthy addition to this series. And then, of course, Doom 2016, the relaunch, was the greatest game. When that came out, I could not believe how good it was.
In their world was purely for the betterment of mankind. Everything has clearly gotten out of hand now, yes. But it was worth the risk, I assure you.
And I've beaten it 3 times, and I love it every time I play it. And then Doom Eternal, I actually, I don't want to say I hated it. I like all the Doom games, and I enjoyed Doom Eternal. But I really thought it was a huge step down from Doom 2016, and I'll tell you why. It's because in 2016, you get the difficulty of playing Doom, you get the badass feeling of being all powerful, and then in Eternal, they added these. I've seen a bunch of YouTube videos, and people refer to it as combat puzzles, where killing the enemies is really takes specific things. I mean, not literally. Every enemy can be killed by any gun, but if you want to engage with the game mechanics properly, they make you take the sniper rifle out and shoot off their shoulder cannon first, and then you got to take the shotgun out and shoot a grenade into their mouth, and every enemy has a weakness that you have to attack with a different gun, so you're switching guns constantly. And maybe that works on PC when you're you have 1 through 10 on your on the top of the numbers, but I played on PS4, and I had to whip out that weapon wheel so often that I found it just super annoying. It's annoying. It was too gamey, it was too much of a video game where every enemy had this glowing spot you had to hit with a specific gun, and to kill them and to really engage with the mechanics, and it was just built for frustration. I thought I really didn't like it. But that being said, the set pieces were amazing, the music is still badass, the story was actually stupid as hell, but I don't care. But yeah, they went over the top. Then with Doom the Dark Age, which I'm playing thanks to my friend bringing over his insane laptop, is absolutely perfect. I've got no notes in this game. I think it's just stupendous. So check out Dark Age. It's very good. Got some kind of a soccer game for the ZX Spectrum. I just like the way the colors work in the Spectrum. It looks really interesting. Looking at these little pictures, I think really cool. This is a cool thing. If you're a subscriber, you get an alternate cover than if you buy it off the shelf. And of course, in America, we can't really buy this off the shelf. Maybe in the UK, but this is the off-the-shelf cover, and I have the subscription cover. So it's nice to see which one do I like better. I like this one better in this case than this one, but sometimes I like ours better. I really did like this cover that was a couple months ago. It's just a nice image. Oh, Bart versus the Space Mutants. This game's got a pretty bad rap. But I remember I either I owned it or I rented it all the time. I guess I was a big Simpsons fan, and I could get to level 3. And it's the weirdest game where the first level you have to turn everything purple into red. The aliens need to get purple things, and if they get enough purple things, then they can take the world over or something. So you have a can of spray paint. You got to make the purple things red. And then level 2 is completely different. Where level 2, it's they're collecting hats or something. And I didn't play up to level 2 in this game, and Honestly, I did not have a good time playing this again, but I remember playing this a lot when I was a kid. It was kind of weird. Here's an Amstrad game that I don't have any experience with. 750 Grand Prix. This is the making of. So they do these big exposés called the making of whatever. Was that what Doom was? Was it the making of Doom, or is that just... Let me look back for a second. Or is that just like the evolution of Doom? I'm not sure if that's a recurring series, but the making of definitely is. So this is a, you know, I don't know. I never, there's not a motorcycle game that I really care about. So, like, I never played, what's the one with the fighting? Hang On? Super Hang On? No. What's the one with the fighting? God, I don't remember. No, it's not Hang On. Hang On's the one with the motorcycle arcade. The Sega one where you're hitting people with pipes. Like, that one seems like the most fun, but honestly, I never even got into that. The 4-player adapter to Game Boy. I never had a Game Boy, and I really didn't have any friends that had a Game Boy, but I found out when I got into Game Boy games that there is a wave race before there was the N64 wave race, which I'm obsessed with. So that's super interesting. And it's pretty fun, actually. I could enjoy it. And it only, like, I don't think it's really been released anywhere else, so you can only play it on Game Boy. It's kind of a cool... This says it's an essential game for Game Boy, which I've, other than this magazine saying this right now, have never seen anyone ever talk about Wave Race before, like, ever. I found out randomly looking at games that there's a Wave Race, but this is cool that it calls it out as an essential game. Then there's a big Paul Galancy interview, and I guess, I don't know who that is, but based on the interview, he's some kind of a magazine editor from, you know, the Retro Times, and there's a lot of magazines that it's cool to look at. Like, these are exactly the types of magazines I would love to get, subscribe to. Would be cool to dig up like a PDF archive of them. I'm sure it's on archive.org. I should take a look. That'd be fun. Mega Tech. Look at that. Looks awesome. I love how the way it looks. Actually, I should look these up on archive.org and see if there's like a dump. It'd be fun to look through them. A little Burnout action here. Great game. I have Burnout Paradise on PS4. This guy worked on Split Second Velocity. Split Second is just such a good game. Yeah, so look what it says here about Split Second is an absolute classic hidden gem on Xbox 360. I have the game, and I look forward to showing it to everybody that I see. It's so good. And it says here that Split Second was a great game. It was ambitious and came out late. The game missed its original dates, ended up launching at the same time as Red Dead Redemption and a week before Bizarre Creations' Blur, so nobody bought it. Such a shame. And you know, Blur is another game that I don't have but really want to get, which is kind of like Mario Kart, but with modern, like, imagine Forza plus Mario Kart, and that's Blur. I've never played it, but I watched some videos of it, and I think it's tremendous. But Split Second is sort of like that too, and I absolutely love it. It looks amazing. Such a good game. Here's Amiga games. Very colorful. Amiga has really, like, the colors on it look awesome. Like, that's so vibrant. And this is, I guess, a developer cover mount highlights. I don't have a way to play Amiga games right now, so I can't enjoy them that well. Here's the making of Aleste, another making of. There's two making of in this art magazine. This is Aleste, or what we call MUSHA here in the States. It's a Sega Genesis shmup, which is pretty awesome. I've played it a lot. Never, like, seriously, but I definitely play it. And it's got a lot of cool weapons and a unique way of using these little option shooters. And you can move them around with different settings, and you collect a bunch of them. They get, like, knocked off, but you have to keep your supply up. it's a really fun game, but the problem with this game is once you die, you might as well just quit. Because losing all your upgrades is just way too brutal. You can't play the game anymore once you lose your upgrades. It's crazy. But this goes through all of the making of. It talks about all the bosses and has some great pictures in there. The game does have really cool looking bosses. Like, they're very neat looking. It's crazy. Now here's a fun section. 16-bit Konami games. This, I had a lot of fun playing through like these. This is exactly the kind of stuff I want to see in this magazine, where it's like, oh man, what should I do tonight? Well, how about I play like all these games for like 20 minutes? You know, it's such a great smorgasbord of fun, and I can remember all the, like, for the games I know, like Turtles in Time, I get another shot at playing them, and for the games I never played, I get to, you know. So I did play through a lot of these. Axelay is a game that I've loved for a long time. I think it's one of the best shmups on Super Nintendo. It's got like the top-down or down-up fighting, and then it's got side view levels, and it alternates, and you pick your loadout every level, and you unlock new weapons every level. It's just so much variety in that game. You can beat every level with different weapon sets, and experience what the weapon sets behave like on the 2D levels versus the top-down level. 2D. I mean, side-scrolling levels and top-down levels. Really, really fun game. If you haven't played Axelay, you should, but, you know, who hasn't, right? Castlevania 4 on Super Nintendo. Who can't go wrong with that game. They have a lot of cool. I think it was like a launch title for Super Nintendo, or not a launch title maybe, but an early title, and they really wanted to showcase a lot of Mode 7 and other effects. Like, here you are going into the background, and it's funny. I was playing this, and I remember this part where you're in the background, and like, oh, that's pretty interesting. You know, Super Mario World did that with the fence. You know, the fence that would turn, you're on the backside of the fence, and it was so mind-blowing in that game. And they used it in a couple of castles in Super Mario World. I don't think they ever let you do it again in this game. I mean, don't quote me on that, because I haven't beaten this entire game for about a decade, but I'm pretty sure that's like first level is really where they showcase the I'm in the background vibe, and then they never do it again. I think that's pretty funny. You can also do that little whip wiggle in this game, and you can crawl, like you can walk in your, like, crouch and move. That's pretty funny. Like, they add a lot of little touches like that to this game that make it feel fresh compared to the Nintendo games. But, you know, they still kept it true to the version. Like, you get knocked back, you just saw you get knocked back into pits. You still have a really strong commitment to your whip. Like, it takes a long time to do it. Your jumps are really stiff. And, you know, a lot of that could be called bad control, but it's actually, that's what makes the game interesting. You know, like modern games that are platformers that have like really insane control, like I'm thinking of like Dead Cells, or, you know, even like Meat Boy or Celeste or whatever. Like, your in-air control is so good that everything's really non-committal, and it makes, and not that that's bad, it's fine, but it just makes the game feel super different. Like, Castlevania is a very different feeling game than most platformers that come out today, you know? And even in Symphony of the Night and the future Castlevania games that are more, you know, Metroidvania Castlevania games, your control is so good. And, you know, I wonder, I can't really explain what that's about. I guess it depends on what is the goal of the game. In a Metroidvania, the goal is exploration, so they want your movement to be more free and fun. And in a platformer like this, a level-based platformer, it's exploration and traversal aren't the primary thing you're doing. It's fighting enemies, and having your action be more stiff and deliberate makes fighting enemies more puzzle-like, a little bit more interesting. Like, if you could just do if you were like super slick, like if you were a Dead Cells character in Castlevania, you could just smoke this game, you know? Like, you could outmaneuver everybody so easily. Oh, Medusas. This is a great game. Every time I like pick this game up, I end up playing it for much longer than I expected. and I think that's the sign of a good game. Like, I was capturing footage for a lot of the games I was playing, and I was kind of just doing it to do it for most of them. But this one I actually had fun playing. And in a bit here, I'll play Castlevania for Sega Genesis, and I also had fun playing that game. Here's Snatcher, which is a great game that I beat kind of recently. I beat it when my daughter was born, and I had a month off work. I beat Snatcher on paternity leave, and I won't ever forget that, probably, because it was just me and my little baby up late. She's like on my chest sleeping, and I was playing this, text-based adventure game. It was a great fit to slowly grind through it over the course of a couple weeks. And cool story. A really interesting story and really cool music. Another Castlevania here. It's cool that there's Castlevania 4 and Castlevania on Sega, the new generation, where you can pick the guy with the spear. Super cool games. Music is great on both. Castlevania is Castlevania. There's not a bad one. And it was fun to play. The Sega one I don't play enough. Doesn't get enough love. And then also we got Contra Hardcore, or what they call Probotector, which is just the stupidest name in England. This game is almost impossible to play. Like, I was playing it and I felt like it was at double speed. It's so hard. I could not believe how difficult it was. Like, look at how insane this is. I play this with my friend Jake. In this game, what's cool is you can pick from 4 different characters. There's like a man and a woman, and then there's a werewolf with sunglasses and a machine gun arm, which is the most 90s thing in the world, and then a robot who's like half size for some reason. So like the characters are hilarious. Although in this gameplay, we just got so ruined playing. But look how fast it moves. The speed of the game feels wrong. Like, it's crazy. Those explosions are like gnarly as hell too. Seemingly you can hold up to 4 weapons at a time. You can see in the top, the HUD, there's like an A, B, C, and D weapons, so you can have a bunch of weapons and pick between them, but if you die, I think you lose the weapon you're holding. We couldn't even sustain a weapon for longer than 30 seconds in the gameplay we made. Look, game over in the first like 20 seconds of the first level. Like, oh my god, it's insane. Takes a lot of practice, I'll tell you what. Look how cool this HUD is, though. Like, this whole interface looks so nice. Really, Capcom really went all out on this. The morphing on the faces, it's neat. And then my friend my friend Jake came over and played Turtles in Time with me and Contra the Alien Wars. And Contra the Alien Wars, I can easily play through that game and beat it, like, every time on normal difficulty. But we played it as a team, and it's way harder. Like, it's very hard to stay alive 2-player because somebody lags behind and they always get killed, and the screen can't pull properly, and it's very hard to play 2-player in that game. It's a whole different skill set. Speedrunning that with like a pair would be probably a pretty fun experience. Here we are playing Turtles in Time. This is a great game. We just played it until we continued. We lost all until we both lost 1 continue worth of lives. I think we got to the prehistoric boss. We kind of lost on him in this run. I mean, we had more continues to play through, but we had other stuff to do. But Turtles in Time is really a treasure. The game is so fun, really easy to get into. The music's great. The gameplay's super easy, but still not boring. Like, I find it more fun as a beat 'em up than most, even comparing it to modern day ones. The new Shredder's Revenge is a really excellent follow-up to this. I like it. And, you know, I recently played the Sega Genesis version, too. Like, I always knew that it existed, but I thought it was just the same, and I'm a Super Nintendo fanboy, so I prefer that one generally. But it's actually a little bit different. Apparently, it's closer to the arcade than the Super Nintendo version, and they had some, like, remixed bosses. Like, on the pirate ship level, in this game, you fight Bebop and Rocksteady, but on the Genesis version, look at this transition right here. I love this. That turn. On the Hyperstone Heist version, you fight Toka and Razor on the pirate ship, and you fight Bebop. They just swap those monsters for some reason. And then instead of fighting Slash, the prehistoric turtle, you fight like some kind of a weird slime monster. I mean, I think the bosses on Super Nintendo are better, because what is this slime monster? But it's closer to the arcade. This is a really cool, innovative boss fight, which uses this, you know, the awesome throw them into the screen mechanic. And it, like, you know, you could do that throughout the game, the levels, but in this one you have to do that in order to damage the boss, and it's a really cool way to do it. So yeah, we both continued here, and we just beat this boss and stopped. Very fun boss fight. This is cool because it's kind of like, feels like the climax of the game, but it really is just the beginning. Now he goes into the time warp, and then you have to follow him in. It's super cool. And here's Rocket Knight Adventures. It's a game I really never got into, but it seems really fun. Like, your controls are different. It's a mascot platformer, but the way the controls work, where you have like a rocket strapped to your back, it's pretty cool. And you have like a sword, so you got like a rocket and a sword. It's a little fantasy sci-fi mix. It's a very interesting and unique combination. And it was a fun game to experiment with. Here's an R-Type little piece. This author talking about how much he likes R-Type. R-Type, I actually beat R-Type using save states, but I did beat R-Type 3 or Super R-Type. Not sure which, I don't remember, in college, which was, you know, a long time ago now. But it's weird, on Super Nintendo, there's an R-Type 3 and a Super R-Type, and it's hard to know, like, I don't remember which one I played, which one I'm picking up at any given time, and which one's better. If you know, let me know. I think this is the one I played, because I remember this laser, unless that's in both games, and then I have no idea. But the thing about R-Type is you're like a little ship, and then you have like this attachment that you wear, and this thing can eat bullets, so you can use it as a shield. You can also shoot it off your ship, and it like hovers around you. It's cool. It's a very different kind of a mechanic than you're used to, probably. I love when shoot 'em ups have their own thing, you know, and they're all different. Here's another awesome segment where they go through like a ton of different Game Gear games. And Game Gear, you know, like I said earlier in the Game Boy piece, I never played any handheld games when I was a kid. Nobody had a Game Gear in my circle. So now, you know, I have got into it recently, and I'm like, okay, what are the essential games? What are the hidden gems on Game Gear? And there are some cool games on there that I've never played, and you can only play on Game Gear. And those are the ones that I kind of gravitate toward, that you can only play on Game Gear. Because there's plenty of ports on it. And again, like, why would you ever play a handheld port when you can just play a better version? And before, when the Game Gear was out, of course, there's an advantage. You can take the game with you. You can play Sonic in your pocket, you know, if you can fit a Game Gear in your pocket. But now I'm playing it on like a handheld anyway. I have a Mii Mini or a Retroid or, you know, whatever, the Ambernick things. And you can play the real version of Sonic on Sega Genesis or even Sega Saturn on the go. So why would you ever play this gimped version of Sonic unless you have a lot of nostalgia for it? But anyway, that being said, I am always looking out for you can only play it on Game Gear type games, and it was fun to go through this. And I played a lot of these games on my handheld to get the real vibe. And it was pretty darn cool. I've actually legitimately never played Columns before on any console. So I played Columns, and it's a pretty cute little puzzler. It definitely scratches the Tetris itch. But like, I would play it on Genesis if I was going to play it again. I played this game, Popless, the Block Busting Challenge, and it's sort of a block puzzle game. It took me a long time to figure out what the heck I'm supposed to do, but then I did figure it out, and it was okay. I'm not going to probably be playing too many puzzle games. Now, Factory Panic. Now, this is a gem. This is a game I never would have even considered before, but it's this really interesting puzzle game where you're trying to feed people items that they're waiting for, and you control the tracks with on-off switches while like a little soldier is trying to hurt you. It gives me like Overcooked vibes, kind of like you're trying to do a bunch of complicated stuff while there's a hazard. So it was a really cool game, and I would definitely go back to that. And I showed it to my friend Jake, and he's like, "Oh, this is a really cool game. Like it's fun." Here's a Mappy port, which is an arcade game. Here's a cool game called Psychic World, which looks really interesting. It's an early platformer. I actually can't remember if I played it or not. I might be showing footage of it, or I might not. I don't remember if I played Psychic World. I wrote it down, but I did play this game Berlin Wall because it looked a lot like a single screen, like a Bubble Bobble game or even a Load Runner, but it was bad. Like, I really could not get the hang of it. It felt so slow and plodding, and the controls were really tough, like kind of ugly. Of course, we got a port of Outrun, which, I'd play the Genesis version first, or even Outrun 2 on PSP, which is also a handheld version of Outrun, which is absolutely phenomenal. But yeah, I mean, Outrun on the Game Gear would have been fun at the time, I think. That's the context, right? It would have been fun at the time. I played this game Griffin, kind of like a tank shmup game. I really didn't get it. I'm not sure if this thing on the right is a life bar or what's going on. It was pretty complicated and hard to play. But it played okay. I mean, it was fast, and that's a lot of the time all you can hope for is that it plays fast and well. Some other games in here that I didn't play every game, right? I did play Shinobi a lot. It was really good, so I played it like more than I thought. I actually gave it a solid try. I played several levels, and it's different. Like, it's not just a remake of Shinobi that you've played before. It's all new levels, so it's actually like a different version of Shinobi that's worth playing. So that's a good one. I wanted to play Off-Road, but I forgot to. This looks really good. Like, it looks great. And I love Off-Road on Super Nintendo, so maybe the Game Gear version is great. But yeah, it looks good. I played this game, Buster Ball. Terrible. I hated it. It did not play fast. It was chunky and gross. I played Wonder Boy the Dragon's Trap. This is cool because it's it's a Master System game, I guess, but it played really well on the Game Gear. I never played the Master System, but it probably was very similar, so that's a good experience that doesn't cost you too much in the way of quality of gameplay. Well, look, a whole other page. Like, look how much stuff is in here. It's incredible. I didn't play another Shinobi. I did not play Streets of Rage. Streets of Rage, it's like, again, I played the Sega Genesis version. Alien 3 was a cool game I did play, and that would have been a great experience at the time. Like, a mobile version of this really cool game. It was fun. It's just what you think. It's all like the other Aliens games. You're like, it plays kind of like Contra, but more like a Metroidvania version of Contra, where the levels are really big and sprawling. And, well, I guess Metroidvania is bad because you don't, at least not in my experience, you didn't upgrade your character. But the fact that the levels are freeform and big, that's kind of what I mean. Land of Illusion, a Mickey Mouse game, pretty cool looking. I played Echo the Dolphin, and that looked pretty cool. Although I could not get out of the first screen, I couldn't figure it out. But the swimming looked really nice. The graphics were pretty, and it looked really good. I did play Drop Zone a little bit, and it's kind of like Defender. I guess Drop Zone is just Defender. The sprites are really big, but the big sprites made it really hard to actually see what the heck was going on. But if you got used to this game, it's a pick-up-and-play arcade experience. Pretty good. Megami Tensei Gaiden would probably be a good RPG at the time. I never played that, and I didn't want to start an RPG like this. I just got into it's hard to even explain, the Megami Tensei series and Persona. But Persona 5 Royale was a game I played the last couple of years, and it was amazing. So I'm sort of into the series now, but I'll probably just keep playing Persona games that are on the modern consoles. Probably. What else have we got here? Here's Fatal Fury, which looks cool, but fighting games on a Game Gear, you can only play like the story mode. You can't play with anyone else. It's pretty lame. Sylvan Tales, another RPG that would probably be interesting. Ristar is a great mascot platformer, but, got to be a bad port on the Game Gear that I don't really care to look at. Gunstar Heroes, another great game that probably has a port here that is not that great. I did try to play Jungle Strike, and didn't like the way it played or felt on the Game Gear. I'm sure there's better versions of that, but I did try that because it looked cool in the picture. It's like a helicopter game. It was interesting. There is a Shining Force, and that would have been essential if you had a Game Gear at the time. I think Shining Force is a awesome series. I just got into these kind of games recently, like Shining Force and like Advance Wars and Fire Emblem. I never played these in the time, but I got into them later, and I am really obsessed with them now. One of my favorite mobile on-the-go experiences is playing Advance Wars and Fire Emblem and Shining Force. Now let me tell you what. This game right here, Arena, played it quite a while. It's a really fun, sort of, I guess it's a lot like Metal Gear Solid is what I would compare it to, or like Metal Gear for Nintendo, where you're like a secret agent or something, and you're sneaking around a big warehouse, and you go room to room looking for keys. But it's great graphics, great control, like interesting gameplay. I like this one a lot. I would recommend it. And I did play also this game Baku Baku, which is some bizarre, it's called Baku Baku Animal. And it's this bizarre kind of a puzzle game where you have dogs eat bones and rabbits eat carrots, and you're trying to have... And monkeys eat bananas, and you're trying to, like, make a chain where they eat as many as they can. Good one. I would recommend that. Here's a little expose they're doing on a new game coming out soon called The Precinct, which is a retro-inspired but new game. Looks interesting. I like it. There's kind of a piece here on Disney games, and I played Disney games are pretty good, usually, at least graphically speaking. Disney games tend to look great, and I've played many of them in my days, and... Sorry, it's my little bookmark here. Move that out of the way. Goof Troop is a cool call-out. Always it comes out as a hidden gem on Super Nintendo, on hidden gem videos. It's a cooperative game that is very fun, where two players really can have a great time collaborating. It's cool. Here's Aladdin for Mega Drive, which has a lot of fans, of course, but I'm more of a Super Nintendo guy. And I actually wanted to play both of them, but I only played the Super Nintendo one, and I just beat it. I played it it's an easy game for anybody should be able to beat that game, I think. But I beat it on my first try in many, many years, and I actually surprised myself. But I had a great time playing it. It's so fun, so pretty. Here I go up the Agrabah, the pretty background. Look at I got this special thing in here. I've never hit the genie head in this spinning game. And during this run, I hit the genie head on the very first golden scarab. I didn't even know what it did, honestly. And let's watch and see what it does. It gives you an extra heart. So the star gives you an extra credit. The heart refills your hearts. And there's a 1-up and a 2-up. And the genie head gives you an additional heart. It's hard to say if that's really the best reward. I kind of thought that it gave you one of each. It filled your hearts up and a 1-up and a credit. That's what I expected. But it gives you an additional heart. Never hit that before. I remember when I was a kid, this part was really hard. And I actually did end up dying on that same rock 4 times. But I ended up, that was the only quirk. You have to really hit forward and down at the same time to get through there. Thread the needle a little bit. The genie levels are the highlight. I love the genie levels in this. The cool backgrounds, the really cool effects, these weird... I mean, these birds appear in other parts of the game too, but they really belong here, whatever this is. I love how the genie's platforms look at you and get whatever, surprised or worried when you hang on them. You'll notice I don't really care about getting the red crystals at all here. I just didn't in this run. I mean, there are times where I try to, but the reason I didn't is because it only matters if you get all of them in every level. But getting them all in the Magic Carpet Ride is impossible unless you memorize the whole level. There's nothing in the Magic Carpet Ride. You just have to go up and down, but it's multi-screen, so you can't tell where they are. You just have to know where they are. Otherwise, you're going to miss one, and then you can't get them throughout the whole game. I don't actually know what happens if you get every crystal. I don't know. Here I am going to the last boss. A really cool boss fight. The game has very few bosses. The first, there's a guy in the Agrabah, the merchant, who you throw apples at and just jump on his head. He's tremendously easy. And then you fight Jafar. Before this, you fight Jafar where he shoots lightning bolts at you and you have to hop on his cane. And then he turns into the snake. And the snake one is really cool because look the way the floor moves and actually acts as a platform for you to jump off. That feels, the momentum of that jump feels really awesome where you go up there and hit his head. I don't know why he's spitting these eggs though. It doesn't really make sense. I wish he would slash at you more often. You don't need the eggs because during this big part, you can get out to his head anyway. So I don't know what the eggs are for. But yeah, I mean it's a pretty easy game, but I was actually surprised I could beat it. I remember when I was a kid, I could beat it then too, but it took me a long time and it kind of was hard. Now it was just I walked through it basically. But yeah. I have a lot more nostalgia for this game than the Sega version because it's the one that was closer to me. The Sega version also very fun, and the graphics are outstanding on both games, so they're worth playing even to this day. This is a Dick Tracy game. It says somewhere in here that the Dick Tracy game has what was the guy who played it? Like, I forgot his name. The actor who played in it, Warren Beatty, was Dick Tracy in the movie with Madonna in that movie. And Warren Beatty, the actor, had final say on the video game, like his likeness being used in the video game. Like, not the production company, not DC Comics or whoever. Warren Beatty, the actor. And so they had to send him the game first to like approve to go to market. They say in here that he probably didn't even play it. They automatically, like his assistant just automatically said it's fine. But that's pretty cool. There's a Super Nintendo version. Very great game, beautiful and awesome. The Jungle Book is a game I have played at some point, but I didn't play it for this video. I did play Lion King, also a very beautiful game, and I remember renting it when I was a kid, and I do remember the part that everybody talks about with the hippos and the monkeys on like level 3 before you get big. But I remember like the part that I hated the most was when you're fighting the hyenas in the boneyard. I could never figure out how to beat them. Like, I could beat the monkey part. That wasn't the hardest part for me, but that is annoying. I didn't get that far in my play, so. A lot of Mickey Mouse games, which I like. They're good. It's hard to keep them straight because there's so many, and they all, like, Mickey Mouse always looks the same in them. But I remember one where you are like a firefighter and you shoot water out of your hose, and then you're also Robin Hood and you have like a grappling hook. And then I remember a different one where you shoot like plungers. In all these ones, you change costumes and do different stuff. It's a cool mechanic, and it's kind of like Mega Man in that way, where you change what weapon you use. But a lot of the weapons are traversal related, like the grappling hook and the plunger shoots plungers at the wall, and you could jump on them. That's why the Mega Man connection kind of reminds me of it. Breath of Fire, a game I never got into or played. It is like I was saying, I like Advance Wars and Shining Force, I think, or Final Fantasy Tactics. I think it's one of those, but I have not played it. Ape Escape is a game that I've seen a lot. It's a PlayStation game that I've never played, but it looks pretty interesting. You're like catching monkeys and trying to grab them. I should give it a try sometime. You can see I put a note like I should try that game, but I never got around to it. Took me a long time to capture this footage. Like, I don't have that much time to play, not as much as I'd like. So I kind of wanted to get this video going, so I can't play every game in here, but I guess this game doesn't entice me as much as some of the others. The Hitman series, another series I really missed. Never played any of them. I actually do have one of the games on 360 that I got like in a lot. I put in Jasper Kidd, did the music for this game. And this is called Music Memories, so it's not about Hitman, it's about Jasper Kidd's music. And I will say that I love Jasper Kidd. He's one of my favorite composers. I fell in love with him on his music for Batman and Robin on Sega Genesis. It's just like banging. And then also he did Subterranea, which is a soundtrack that I love as well on the Sega Genesis. And then later, like out of nowhere, he did Assassin's Creed game music too, which is such a completely different vibe. And so many years later, I couldn't even believe it was the same guy. So ever since I like Assassin's Creed, like the soundtrack is great, and I couldn't believe Jasper Kidd did it. I knew him as the Batman and Robin guy, and I'm like, oh my god, he did the Assassin's Creed games, and yeah, I guess the Hitman games too, which for me, what makes me want to play the games more. I think that's awesome. Here's the Ultimate Guide to Devil Summoner, which looks like another Shin Megami. Well, it doesn't look like it. It says Shin Megami Tensei. But like, I've never heard of this game. It's a PlayStation 2 game, I guess. I don't have a PlayStation 2. I wonder if it's on Xbox. But I could get into that. This game has, when I was reading it, it has Rasputin. Gregory Rasputin, the Russian figure, is in this game, I guess. These characters look awesome. And this game looks pretty interesting too. I like what I'm seeing in these screenshots. Looks like there's a remaster, Radau Remastered. What is Radau? I guess I didn't read this very carefully. The game's called Devil Summoner, Radau Kuzunoha versus the Soulless Army. And then here, Radau Remastered. I guess that means they're remastering it. Is it already out? Huh. Something to look into. PS5. I guess I don't have a PS5, but pretty awesome. Looks good. I mean, this is I'm into the Persona games. I'm into Shin Megami games now. So, excuse me. Oh, here's a great. I'm so like, I have this game, and not only do I have it, but specifically for this game, I got the pistol holders for my Wiimotes, and I could not wait to get my friend Jake over here for us to play some House of the Dead Overkill, and we really made a night of it. Had a great time doing some real zombie killing with our pistols. It was so great. Makes me want to get some more games on the Wii that I can use my pistols with.
I have shown respect, charm, understanding, but that is the last fucking straw.
Ladies and gentlemen, the infinite tact of Isaac Washington.
I have no training. Shit! There's something on the roof!
The game is silly as hell. It has the most ridiculous dialogue you've ever heard, the most ridiculous story. I mean, House of the Dead is schlock. So it was very fun. Here they do a retro. They're rating the Capcom Fighting Collection, which has a bunch of different fighting games. I see Capcom vs SNK 2, which I had on the OG Xbox, and it was one of the games that was like at the pinnacle of Xbox Live gaming. And Capcom vs SNK is definitely a game that I played a ton of online and competed for the rankings. And I used to use GameFAQs a lot back then, and the GameFAQs forum was just like people talking about the online matches that just played. Like you play a match and then go immediately to GameFAQs and just say, hey, great matches. Like all the people were on there talking on GameFAQs. It was really fun. No one really used voice in the game, but they went on GameFAQs and talked about it. It was a fun time. I loved it. Some more talk about Evercade over here. Now then they have this section about homebrew games coming out, and this is a really fun section to read about because they have a lot of new games coming out for old consoles. And like here's a Dreamcast demo disc, but all the demos are fan projects. That's really cool. They have a lot of little new games coming out. They talk about all of them, where they're going. It's really fun to look through these. Man, look at that. Wow, look at this. It's like, what is this game called? I forgot. Where you're climbing that tower. I don't know what it's called. It's probably in there. And they talk about Doom here, like all the writers talk about their memories of the Doom and their favorite Dooms. Here's some. This is Eternal, I think. Doom Eternal, yep. This is interesting. I wonder what happened here. Like, this whole thing is all pink. Like, I think the printer must have got damaged, because this is orange. I mean, they do different colors, that's fine. But this one, even like the art, even the pictures look all pink and washed out. Like, this person looks really pink. And the rest of the magazine is sort of like that. I wonder what the heck happened. Oh, no, this is orange again. This is just pink. My Retro Life, Hot Topic. Yeah, I wonder if the red didn't work properly here. Anyway, they're featuring this person's collection of Sega games. That's kind of cool to look about. They talk about what their favorite games are, what their most valuable games are. That's fun. Yeah, this is pink again. Pink on purpose? It goes orange, pink, orange, pink. This is the mailbag where the people write letters and they feature them. Most magazines put the mailbag in the front, I feel like. I guess I don't know what is most magazines. What am I talking about? Like Nintendo Power? Nintendo Power had them in the front. I feel like some other magazines, like Maxim, I think. When I read Maxim magazine, they put them in the front. All right. Next month, the making of Tatake Ouendan. This is like a rhythm game on Nintendo DS, I think, and I'm pretty excited about that. And much more. Well, there we go. I played a lot of these games. I love getting my magazine and reading through it. And, you know, I mean, I guess I don't read it cover to cover necessarily. I definitely scan it, read a lot of it. But it was fun to do this, and I'm going to try to see how long this takes me and how long it ends up being. And if anybody cares, I might make this a series, because it is fun for me to do this anyway. And making content out of it sort of gives me extra motivation. So I'm going to do a little epilogue here. I just got finished editing this whole thing, and you know, I'm pretty proud of this. I've never done anything like this before. It was a lot of editing, and by far the longest video I've ever made. I don't know how people make videos this long. I mean, it took forever to edit, but then the file is so unwieldy. Like, saving it takes like half an hour. The file itself is like a gigabyte. Your heart, like, anybody's making like hour-long videos. It's crazy, man. It takes forever. But anyway, I'm showing some footage here of Power Strike, or Super Aleste on Game Gear, which is part of the MUSHA series. So I'm playing that here. It's a really good shoot 'em up. It was in the Game Gear section, but I didn't like reference it in the magazine, so it didn't feel right showing the footage. So I'm just putting it here while I chat. Let me know what you think about this kind of content. If this, you know, long form sort of podcast almost, if this makes sense to anybody. It was fun to make, kind of a labor of love. I play the games anyway, so it's kind of like just record it and make it into an artifact. Feels kind of cool. But yeah, it was a lot of fun making this, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. And I'd love to get some feedback on the format, on everything, basically. Please share. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it to the end, I mean, look, if you made it to the end, for God's sake, like and subscribe. You know, if you liked this, then you'll definitely like the other stuff I make, which is a lot more punchy. So, thank you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.